Long ago I did a video talking about why building a kit shouldn't be a daunting task. Recently I got a message from someone who was struggling with their own build and wanted me to do a video on building their first kit, so here we are doing exactly that. In this video we'll be talking about different build processes we as Razers employ and why building a kit shouldn't be a daunting task and why it could actually be fun sometimes. Before we begin, I'd like to thank this video sponsors CowRC, A-Main Hobbies, and Peach State Hobbies. Anything you guys purchase using the links in the description below will directly support me as well. Let's begin. Let's begin with the easier part, actually choosing the kit itself. This is usually the first barrier that those who want to get into RC racing or RC kit building in general face when they first start out. There are quite a few kits out there for 8th and 10th scale racing, and plenty of them will work well enough for most people. However, choosing the best one for your specific application can be a bit tricky. For both 10th and 8th scale racing, the rules remain the same though. Choosing the car that is most used at your local track or general area is generally the most important rule to follow if you're just starting out. If your local track uses mostly Techno buggies, buy a Techno buggy. If they mostly use Mugen buggies, buy a Mugen. This is because you'll have the most amount of local support there at the track you intend to race at the most. And by support, I mean general setup tips, driving tips, and in this case, building tips from those who already built the buggy you intend to build yourself. This also goes for electronics, tires, and other accessories you may need when building your kit. So which one should you actually buy? Well, I made a video talking about this a little while ago about my own personal recommendations, but I know a lot of people who haven't really seen that one who's watching this video, so I'll try and paraphrase here. For 10th scale, there are really three main options, those being Associated, X-Ray, and Schumacher. These three are dominant in the 10th scale space right now, and you'll be able to find parts for them pretty much around the world, from the New World, the Old World, and the Upside Down. As for 8th scale, things can get a little bit more tricky as there are a lot more acceptable options for people looking to buy an 8th scale buggy or truggy. Now, even though Techno is dominant here in the United States, there are some select areas where you can get away with other brands. Like in my area specifically, you can get away with Associated, S-Works, and of course Techno. Some other brands in my area that are less seen but still very popular would be Mugen Seiki and Mayako, like what I have. In a place like the eastern part of the Old World, X-Ray rules the day. In places like France, Kyosho is very popular, and in places like Spain, S-Works is very popular. It really just depends on where you live. In the end, my recommendation would be go to your local track and see what people run and just run that. So you now have the kit in possession along with all the electronics and tires you intend to build. Yippee! Don't get too hasty though. There are a few things we need to grab before we actually build the car. Specifically, we need tools. Unfortunately, RC kits require a different set of tools compared to most of the things that require tools to build. Hobby-specific tools aren't entirely new, but they are more prevalent now compared to what they used to be. What tools you should get? Well, luckily RC kit manuals will usually tell you on the first page of the kit instructions. There are a few RC-specific tool brands out there, but the absolute best of the best has to be MIP. Yes, there are other options out there like ProTech, Huddy, and, well, EcoPower. And yes, MIP is usually on the more expensive side compared to ProTech and Eco, but trust me when I say these tools can last you multiple race seasons depending on how often you wrench on your cars. However, don't get too discouraged if you can't buy an MIP toolset right out the gate, because like I said, they are expensive. Because ProTech and EcoPower tools are perfectly fine and serviceable for first-time builders. They just won't last as long as an MIP toolset. So what exact tools should you get? Not the brand, but specific tools. Well, here's all the tools I personally have in my tool roll. Feel free to screenshot this and save it to your library. Right, we've got the tools, we've got the fluid, we've got the kit itself, and we've got the time. Where should you actually set up your building spot? Well, while any surface will do, unless you have an uninterrupted 8-hour spending building a kit, you'll want to come back to it over and over again to finish it over time. Some people like to use separate dinner tables and pool tables, others like to use foldable tables and garage tables as well. One thing that you may want to grab though is one of these. This is a CowRC pit mat in the large size. It's made of a pretty sturdy rubber and has little pockets on the outsides of it in order to organize things like screws and other small parts. Now of course you don't need a CowRC pit mat. I'm saying it's a helpful tool to keep organized. Other things like small bowls, magnetic trays, and other organizers will work well as well. Moving back to the brands of the kit for a second, which brand is the easiest to build? Now at this point, I've built a kit from pretty much every single brand out there except for TLR and probably S-Works. So the ones that I'm going to recommend aren't in any particular order, they're just going to be sectioned off into places where I think they're most applicable. Unfortunately, we have to start with Kyosho, as I really wouldn't recommend them for a real beginner, as they have a lot of little parts, especially in the shock seals, that can get very finicky and honestly just annoying. The next kits I want to talk about are the Associated, the Agama, the Mayako, the HB, the Sparco, the S-Works, and the X-Ray. All of these kits are pretty easy to build for the most part, but aren't as easy as the next two kits I'm going to talk about next, so they aren't fully recommended for a beginner. The two brands that I personally recommend for a beginner who just wants an easy kit to build would have to be Mugen for their pure simplicity and Techno for their extremely detailed and, well, just good user manuals. For 10 scale, X-Ray and Associated are pretty much the easiest ones to build for the most part, with Schumacher kind of being the opposite, especially considering the fact that you have to drill your own bleed holes for Schumacher shock caps. That's one extra tool that you have to have.
Finally, moving on to the build itself, there are a few different ways that people tend to build their kits. Some people like to build the shocks and diff first before putting together the chassis itself. Sometimes, like in the case of the Techno, this is the primary way to build the car from the instruction manual itself. One thing that is universal is how you organize the build bags and other parts. If you're a beginner, it's best to lay out all the build bags in order from start to finish so you can stay organized. One way I like to keep the amount of garbage and fluff down is as I complete the bags in order, I use the actual kit box as a trash bin for all the unneeded plastic. In short, find a process that you like and stick with it. So why exactly are kits even a thing? Why do we as racers favor them over RTRs as a whole? Well, one reason is because we as racers like to run what we usually run. There's no real point to including a set of electronics that a solid majority of people will either sell off or throw away, no matter how good they are. Now, in a spec on-road racing like with Tamiya Minis and Euro trucks, it makes sense, but for higher end quote-unquote off-road racing, which is what most RC racers want to do, higher end electronics compared to RTR ones will be employed most of the time. Now, if off-road got to a point where spec racing became a thing where you could only run a spec motor and hand out ESC, maybe we'd see more off-road race-capable vehicles come with those electronics, but for now we'll have to wait. The other issue that ties into the previous point relates to costs. Because the materials that go into making an RC race kit are generally higher of quality or just flat out more expensive than an RTR kit, if they were to spend the time to actually assemble it in the factory, they'd be even more expensive than they already are. The same thing goes for including electronics. So RC companies are left with a few different options. Either they add electronics and build it from the factory, in which racers will throw out said electronics and rebuild the whole kit to change the setup, nullifying the work going into building the kit in the factory in the first place, or they include the electronics, just don't build the kit from the factory, facing the same problems with the said electronics and cost and people just throwing them out, or they just sell the individual parts and sell at a lower cost. The last reason relates to less responsibility if something in the build is going wrong. This is something I see in the RC bashing world all the time, where the basher will blame the factory that the car is inherently flawed, be it the lack of Loctite or really bad shimming in the diff gears. RC racing companies looked at this and thought, you know what, we don't feel like dealing with that. It's much easier to quality control a bag of parts rather than build the bag of parts and do quality control after the fact.
All in all, building a kit doesn't need to be a difficult or daunting experience. In fact, it can actually be very helpful. Yes, it can be time consuming, but once you actually complete the actual build, you'll have a much deeper understanding of how the car actually works and what to look out for when stuff starts to go wrong. And trust me, if you're starting out, stuff will go wrong. Not only that, but kits these days are a lot easier to build than they were back in the past, so I'd say a good time to start building a kit or learning how to build a kit would be now. If you're still looking for a place to start and want my own personal opinion on what to do in your personal situation, just remember, my DMs are always open.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stay tuned every week or so in the next few videos on Sundays at noon Eastern Standard Time. If you want early access to videos or just want another way to support me, you can also become a channel member or subscribe to my Patreon. Speaking of which, I'd like to thank my active patrons Michael Williams, RC World Discord server, Dave Armstrong, Rob Bedingfield, Kaden Merks, Ian Petrie, Jeffrey Kunz, Shane T. Ruth, Gable Barber, Freeman Racing Team, Chewy RC, and my channel members. Jeffrey Kunz again, Bralisk A6, Claymore RC, Brian G, Brent Elliott, Matthew Armini, and especially Morrison Watt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.